Episode 136, round 2. How you, pal?
How's it going, guys?
Good, man. Lots to talk about this week. Should we jump right in?
Let's do it.
The big thing for me at the moment, Ryan, the recruitment side of things in aviation, just going wild, and possibly even turned on its head even more yesterday by a little article from RyanAir saying they're going to be getting another, 150 more Maxes, Max 10s?
Yeah, 150 firm options plus another 150 options still. So 300 airplanes on order total.
Isn't that wild, eh?
It's ballistic. Ah, man, the employment drives, the road shows, all around. Eh? It's so lucky to see that there's this massive demand for airframe drivers.
And it ain't going to be changing anytime soon, that's for sure.
No.
But sticking with that RyanAir one, so what, 150 firm orders, you say? They've just had a road show here in South Africa. I know they've got shows going on all around the world at the moment. But if you do the math, what's that? Close on 3,000 pilots you need to fly those aircraft. So
yeah,
it's nuts. I think they're talking about 10,000 employees that it will require before the end of the sort of decade, you know, just to compensate those extra 300 aircraft if they do get all of them. And no doubt they probably will. So it's just an incredible time for to be a pilot, actually, and the options that are out there.
No, it really is. It's massive. I mean, you know, you mentioned that now. I was chatting to some guys earlier on in the canteen, 2 young guys that are here for some 1900 training. These guys are just getting started.
Yeah.
You know, they're quite early on in their careers now. And listening to the excitement and the conversation and the buzz that these two guys have got, you know, it kind of made me feel a bit nostalgic. It was like, wow, you know, you can see these guys are up for the adventure and they're really excited about what lies ahead. So, yeah, true story. Very, very exciting times to be a pilot.
What does it say? Right place, right time, eh?
Yeah, and options are there. The opportunities are becoming available. And it's really, really exciting to see.
They're out there as well. There's a Wizz Air open day in South Africa. That's coming up when? Let's have a look when that is. They will be the end of the month in Cape Town and the beginning of next month in Johannesburg. So pilots who intend to participate in one of the recruitment events need to organize their availability and dedicate both days fully. So there's actually, anyway, links in the show notes. You can check it out. Wizz Air is a real viable option, I think. It's you're getting yourself onto the right aircraft. Abu Dhabi base, this one is all about. So go check it out. Might interest you, maybe not. It does put you on the right aircraft type. Let's talk about the next thing. Emirates also hiring. There's talks of bonuses that some Emirates, that the pilots are probably getting soon there, or if they have got them, or whatever it is, it's not official, just hearing via the grapevine. Emirates for a while, I haven't heard a lot of sort of external guys going across for interviews and stuff like that. I think it was much to do with getting their old guys all back into the system. But obviously they're expanding as well, and they're going to have to start employing as well. However, when you go across onto the Emirates site, it's quite clear there that you need type on very specific aircraft. There's about 10 or 11 aircraft they've got there, but there's none of the old sort of stuff, you know, MD80s and things aren't there. CRJs, you can't go and tick the box. So you might need to take a job at a Wizz Air, or, you know, even locally here with a Fly Safair, get those hours, and then Emirates becomes an option.
Yeah.
So I don't want to call these airlines like Wizz Air and, you know, whoever they are, stepping stone airlines, because you could go and see out your whole career there. But the reality is, with all this movement going on and the options that are available, I don't think you're going to see pilots staying at one airline for 10, 15 years, because someone's going to need pilots and they're going to have to prop up their, you know, their package.
Exactly.
And it's going to encourage you to say, hey, I'm going to go take that package and move, you know. So it is such an exciting time. It's actually a wonderful time to be involved in aviation, even from our aspect. You mentioned those youngsters now in it, they're starting. But for us, certainly with the podcast and being involved with the training, looking at it, not saying from the outside, but just from a slightly different perspective, man, it's exciting.
No, 100%. I mean, question though, I think we spoke about it a bit the other day, but now you got crew that are going to Wizz Air, you got crew that are flying for Fly Dubai, etc., etc. Now there's an existing embargo between Emirates and Fly Dubai.
Yeah.
You can't be, as far as I understand it, flying for Fly Dubai and then try again to Emirates. Emirates won't take you.
That's what I understand. Yeah.
So does the same apply now for the likes of Wizz Air? Or does that make Wizz Air still a more attractive option because then you later on do have the opportunity of transitioning to Emirates if that becomes an option?
For me, looking from the outside, that's why Wizz Air is a viable option. If you want to move to, it's Abu Dhabi base, so it's just down the road essentially from Dubai, and there's no embargo there with Emirates. Yeah. So you could possibly position yourself down that part of the world and then have a look at other options of carriers that are popping up. Riyadh is going to need a whole whack of pilots. Yeah. That airline is starting up. So, Ryan,
I also suppose it boils down to what a guy's looking for at the moment. I mean, are they chasing the money and the lifestyle right now, or are guys still focused? I suppose it depends on your age, really. Your career down the line. If you're young, you'll take like the Wizz Air job that probably pays less than the Fly Dubai gig.
Yeah, I don't even know if it does or not, or what the story is. Fly Dubai.
I'm just assuming. Yeah, sorry. I mean,
no, I don't know
information.
But I think the situation at the moment opens itself up to, you need to sort of begin with the end in mind and kind of decide where in the world you want to end up, or where in the world you want to perform your, the next 10 years of your career, and then be quite careful about what you decide to do, because it's difficult to move. And as we've seen now, the one negative, getting into a new airline, man, it's a rigmarole.
Yeah.
There's obviously the medicals and all the things you have to go through. The interview itself is a bit of a story. Then there's the training.
The training bonds.
Got a question from someone asking about those bonds, what they're all about. Not such a big deal. We'll chat about that a bit later. But it because you start with an airline on the beginning of the month, don't expect to be flying in a couple of weeks' time. And in that process, you're also not going to be earning a full salary. You're going to be on that sort of training salary for a while. So making a move, you can't move every couple of years. One, as you mentioned, the training bond won't let you do that. But two, it's just there's too much work involved. Yeah. And remember, even if you are type rated, a lot of these airlines are giving you another type rating to train you up to, their SOP or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's not something you want to be doing every year. So think about it carefully.
Yeah.
The training bond side, question that got asked, guy coming out of flight school now, his question was he wants to come and do a 1900 type rating. But he's worried that if he gets a job at an airline on the 1900, they're going to bond him anyway for the 1900 while he redoes a type rating with that particular airline. Now, it's not the same across the board. Airlines are different, but the chances are you might have to redo that type rating and you might get bonded for 3 years. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be paying money in every month.
Yeah.
It kind of means over 3 years or whatever it is, that bond will then fall away. It's one way for the airlines to hold on to their pilots. And particularly in the climate today where there's so much options available, the bond's obviously going to become a bit more important. So the question is, should you go and get the type rating? The reality is the type rating might be the thing that gets you in the door at the airline.
Yeah.
So it's 6 of 1.
It's a tricky one. It's a bit of a conundrum because it does happen where someone will come and do a 1900 rating, for instance, and then get employed by an airline that operates 1900s as well as other types. And then they select you for a different type.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have spent money on this type rating unnecessarily. I don't think that happens all too often.
Yeah. But it might get you in the door.
It might.
It might separate you from the other people at your flight school who didn't do the type rating. So, yeah. But don't, I think what I'm trying to say is don't be too frightened of the bonds. Unless you plan on shifting around a lot. I mean, that's
a dangerous thing to do, because guys that shift around a lot end up in this training bond spiderweb that they can actually never get out.
Then it's dangerous. Yeah.
Dangerous. Yeah.
But if you're committing to a place for a few years and you plan to get 2,000-3,000 hours or whatever, you're going to be there for 3 years anyway. So the bond maybe not the worst thing in the world. Remember, during or just after the pandemic, when the rush to get these pilots flying again, or get them employed at least, the bonus structure was actually based around go sort out the bond at your previous airline. Here's a few extra dollars to go and do that. But I think these days it's stabilized a bit, and we'll see what happens.
100%.
Interesting time. Anyway, let's shift across to some other news, Ryan. The Chinese market, I had a look at it this past week. Things are really moving and happening there quite quickly. So China's 3 largest carriers, Air China, China Eastern, and China Southern. So big losses, obviously, during COVID, and remember everything that happened there. But it's open now, and big quarterly revenue jump. So 94% for Air China, 78% for China Eastern, and 59% for China Southern. Massive. And because China's opened up again, I'm going to ask the question to you. Are expats, Saffers, Aussies, Kiwis, are they going to go to China now? Is that an option again to go and fly? Remember, at one stage, that's where all the big money was.
Hey, pre-COVID, there was some ridiculous amounts of money being thrown at pilots there. I mean, I seem to remember salaries in the region of about $15,000 to nearly $20,000 a month for a 737 captain.
Yep.
Obviously for very specific airlines and contracts there, but I mean, that made it incredibly attractive for South African oaks. But I haven't really heard much as to whether that's going to become a thing again. Might.
Maybe people got their fingers burnt a bit there with the lockdowns, and there's no ways they see that as an option. However, just don't forget that's where the big money was.
Yeah.
Talk about America now, that's the place where essentially the pilots are earning the big money. But be interesting to see if anyone plans on going back there and what it's like.
It's funny how it turns around, because I mean, for a long time, wasn't there a sort of thing going around in the States that most pilots, you had to fly during the day and go and flip burgers at night to make a living.
Yeah.
And now it's just completely done a 180.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Funny game, Lisa.
Times. Yeah. But good to see nonetheless. Staying in China, your favorite, this Comac, Ryan. So Hainan. Hainan was the highest paying airline in the world at one stage.
Were they?
Yeah. They've got...
I thought SAA was.
60 Comac C919s on order, 40 ARJ 21s. That's the one that looks like a little CRJ. Yeah?
Nah, it's a fucking ugly airplane, man.
You reckon?
It's something like a CRJ and an MD, like combobulated.
Mm-hmm.
It's ugly.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Out of the 100 aircraft, 30 of these 919s are going to this Urumqi Air, so that's a subdivision of Hainan. They hit a bit of a speed wobble on that Comac, obviously with everything going on. That aircraft is basically a Western aircraft, built there in China, designed there in China, but all the engines, the avionics, everything's all Western.
Wasn't there some Russian involvement there at some point?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably what? It won't be the case anymore, I'm sure. But
no, definitely not now.
Also, not a pretty airy. You know what they say? If an airplane looks cuck, it flies cuck.
True story. The latest in the US-China flight dispute. So non-stop flights between North America and Asia have seen a significant increase in capacity, with several carriers offering at least 90% more seats from June through August compared to the previous year, to be expected there. The big thing that's hurting the US carriers at the moment, can't fly over Russia. But the Middle Eastern carriers can. So it's affecting the Americans there. And anyone coming to the States, obviously, can't fly through Russia. So quite a significant impact on the cost of tickets.
Oh yeah, look.
And that cost of ticket price increase is going to fall on the
consumer. Yeah.
So expect to see more of that. All right, carrying on. Should we move to Oz?
My favorite place.
Your favorite place. Got some mates in Oz. They look like they're doing well. And Dylan and the boys there at Air North. Eh?
They seem to be having a good time.
I saw him on a Harley the other day. He
hasn't bought it, but it turns out one of his colleagues there has not one but 2 Harleys.
Okay,
so that's like properly living the dream.
Yeah,
and Dylan saw him on a Fat Boy there. Looked like he was having a jaw.
He suits Darwin, Dylan. Hey? It looks like he's enjoying it. Well done to those guys there. Again, a massive opportunity, I think, for maybe a few years ahead for South Africans to go and apply their trade there as well. But this one, Qantas dispute over the A380 pilots. What's happening here? Qantas need second officers basically for the A380s. What they're saying is they cannot take guys off the 330s and the 787s. They need them right away. So they're looking externally. They're going to employ externally and put them straight on the A380. Unions jumped up and said, you can't do that. The A380 is still regarded as the cream of the crop. So you must take from within and give the other guys promotions first before you. So the guys externally that are employed must go on to the 787 or the 330, and the 330, 787 guys, they can go on to the 380. Your thoughts on that one?
No, I think they're being full of shit. Really, I would tell the pilots to wind their necks in. Really, I mean, how extravagant is it to go and be an A380 second officer, P3?
Yeah,
I mean, there's bugger all glamorous about that. And if you look at it from a financial sort of point of view, I get what the airline is saying. It's going to cost a packet, and it's going to take up time to go and train guys from within, and then go and recruit more pilots. If I was the union boss, I'd say, okay, cool, do this. You're saving a bunch of money. So the money that you're saving, let's spread the love. You know, give us a little bit of a bonus. Throw a few extra Aussie dollars. Maybe the guys can go and buy a Harley or something.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Don't whinge about being I want to be an A380 P3. Come on, man. Grow up here.
Not a big deal for you.
No, not at all.
Okay. ATSB, the preliminary report for the 737 freighter crash is out. We won't go through it now, but link in the show notes. Just want to take this opportunity as well. Ryan and I spent last week looking at the podcast, trying to improve on one or two areas. And hopefully you notice it on this episode. But I think one of the things where we have definitely improved, all these news articles, every single one we speak about, the links will be available in the show notes. So anything that pops up, you want to know where we got the gen from, link is there. You can go and read it yourself. And obviously what we're doing, Ryan, is formulating opinions on those particular stories. And I think going into this era of AI and everything that's happening, it's important to, when you approach these stories, you approach them from a sense of being a bit educated on the topic in the first place. There's a lot of charlatans out there at the moment doing all sorts of things, acting as that they know what they're doing because the information is readily available.
Yes.
But you need to actually get your gen, or at least get your opinions on the gen, from guys that actually know what they're talking about. Now, I think we're confident enough, 136 episodes down the line, and a proper career in aviation, holding the right license to give those opinions. So everyone else trying to offer those opinions, they just wind your neck in for a little bit, and listen to the big boys. Okay.
Well said.
Yeah, but anyway, all there in the show notes, and check it out as you want there.
Back quickly, just to rewind half a second, that article on that 737 freighter crash.
Yeah,
amazing when you see the pictures in that link.
No, it's
how the guys walked away from that.
Crazy. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to walk away from.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously it was majorly taken out by post-impact fire, whatever. But I mean, whoa.
Yeah.
To walk away from that.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite, the report itself doesn't, it's pretty obvious as to what went wrong there. So, but interesting story nonetheless. Going back to Emirates again, they got a cool little setup going on. So there's stores now. They're going to be putting up Emirates stores. Basically what this is, shopping malls, sort of random locations. You can go to the store, you can drop your bag off, and you can check in for your flight, and then you can carry on with your day, and then make your way to the airport a little bit later than you ordinarily would have to. I think it's an excellent idea, and obviously a lot of innovation coming from Emirates again.
It's a fantastic concept. I mean, if you think about a passenger who has got the day to kill in Dubai, first of all, not having to go to the airport a whole lot earlier to go and check in their bags, etc., and sit in the terminal, but you can be in town doing all the shopping and stuff, load it in your bags right there, and then go and drop it off at the shop, and then spend a few hours extra kicking it back.
I think it's
without the stress of having to get to the airport earlier. It's brilliant, man.
Emirates new check-in store is 30 minutes from the airport, so that they've just got one at the moment, and they've got this thing called there's like a AI. I think it's called Sarah, that can actually assist you with the whole check-in process if that's a problem for you. So in addition to regular check-in desks, you'll have a self-service kiosk. Emirates plans to introduce a robot check-in assistant called Sarah's to assist the passengers.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool, man.
Very, very cool.
Emirates always at the cutting edge there of...
Just wondering how that would work here in South Africa. I'm pretty sure a robot check-in assistant would be a lot friendlier than the ones we sometimes get here.
Yeah, no lies.
Anyway.
With job creation here in South Africa, they wouldn't go down well.
No.
It's Europe, it's there already. There's no check-in staff at the airport there in Charles de Gaulle.
No.
You go to the little thing there, you play passport, you scan yourself, they give you
your baggage tag, load your bag, and off it goes.
Which I still haven't mastered putting that baggage tag on. Mine always looks like a mess after it's gone on. But so it's already happening. But I think this is just taking it one step further.
Very cool.
Yeah. Emirates and Etihad, they announced an interline expansion, so they're joining forces. Any ideas why?
Riyadh Air.
100%.
Yeah. They're seeing this pop up on the horizon, and no doubt it's an effort to combat the threat that poses. That's the way I see it.
No, for sure. No, Riyadh is... so let me ask... So this joint interline with Emirates and Etihad, does that mean that Qatar will be looking at Riyadh then as a potential code share partner?
No, it's an interesting one because isn't Qatar considered to be one of the big ME3?
Yeah.
So they're all supposed to be chums.
Yeah, they are, but I
suppose at the end of the day, business is business. And it'll be interesting to see how this pans out in a few years down the line when they are up and running.
I think it's so exciting, the whole Riyadh thing. That's an airline starting from scratch, and they're not just going to build slowly. That's going to be rapid. It's going to change things there for sure.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a game changer as far as employment. If RyanAir take on 150 airplanes with 150 other options, and that's creating 3,000 pilot jobs alone, you can imagine the gap it's going to make in the Middle East.
Going to be good.
Operation of this size.
It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
You ever been on a luxury cruise before?
Never.
Huh?
Never. I've been on what's that little?
You've been on a rubber duck.
Yeah, I've been on a booze cruise at Hartebeest, but damn. About as close to one as I could.
Yeah. That's not quite what I had in mind.
Is it?
No.
Okay, well, this might be a bit above me.
All right. So there's this around the world in 22 days of luxury, except it's not on a luxury cruise liner. It's on an A340.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So it's 22 days long. It begins and ends in Paris. Visits Rio, Easter Island, Sydney, Hanoi, Petra. Guests on the tour will be hosted in 5-star hotels and enjoy fine dining, champagne, lie-flat seats, all those things that you expect. Let me see if I can bring it up here. And Yeah, let's see. Around the world, private jet style, awesome cabins, treated like kings and queens, and it's. I'm trying to find the price here. 115,000 USD.
Wow.
Per person. On the expensive one, 75,000 USD for the more budget option.
It's not too bad. It's about the same that you can expect to pay on a flight to Cape Town with Safia over a long weekend. So it's within reach.
Yeah, it's yeah, that was a low blow, bro.
Sorry, man.
Oh. Kirby's not going to be chuffed for that one.
Sorry, Kirby.
But
I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah, quite a cool thing anyway. So luxury cruise, but on a A340. Pretty
nice.
Good. Back to Emirates again. They're bringing 747 freighters back into their cargo division.
I find this fascinating.
Huh?
I find this fascinating. I mean, there's a demand for cargo like that much that they need to get 2 747s to back up their existing fleet.
It's an interesting topic, this, because there's this article. There's another article saying, MD11s and things like that, game over. Those are being parked.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, not going to see those aircraft flying around too much longer. But then you get this situation where the one story that I actually angled was why is cargo taking such a hit at the moment? There's articles actually saying that a lot of the cargo that would have normally been flown in aircraft, they're actually using them in ships and containers, which I can't understand. Obviously, the whole belly space situation during COVID was a different situation, and that's now changed. But then you get this situation where Emirates putting 747s back in there just to compensate for that increased demand. So, yeah,
it's fascinating. It's quite sad to see the end of the MD11.
Yeah,
lovely looking area. But I mean, in Africa, we've still got some operators that are cruising around in 727s.
Yeah, they're going to be. You're going to see them. It's just I don't think you're going to be seeing them
for very long.
For very long, particularly like who flies in there now with them? Lufthansa.
Oh, there's a few. There's Atlas, Magma Airlines, Cargolux, KLM Cargo.
That's still one of the best looking aircraft.
Sorry, I was thinking about 747, not MD. Yeah, the MD11 is just basically
I've just seen
FedEx
and FedEx as well.
Lufthansa, I think, there's a while.
Did they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But really sad. But anyway.
All right. Well, good news for the cargo market at least. Let's go to India for a second. So Go Airlines. Have you heard of them? 4th largest carrier in India. Bankrupt.
Insane.
India, the expansion there is just ridiculous. But you want to know why they went bankrupt? Low-cost carrier faced a financial crisis due to issues with the Pratt & Whitney engines, which grounded half of its 54 Airbus A320 Neos. They couldn't fly them. And that's why they've got bankrupt. Big problem now because they've gone into this sort of protection, this, what do we call it, yeah? I've forgotten the name already.
Yeah, so far.
Which never works. Saxcom Air, same thing.
What is it? Oh, business rescue.
Business rescue.
Business bullshit rescue.
Yeah. But basically now they can't do anything with these aircraft. The lessors can't take them back because of this whole protection. But how's that, eh? So those geared engines caused a bit of cuck.
Surely the manufacturer then, No,
it's aviation. Manufacturer does nothing but.
Hey.
Something breaks on your new car, you get a email from your dealership to say, hey, bring your car and this needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
Aviation, what do? Send out
service bulletin.
SB, and you must pay for it. That's the difference, I suppose. And in this case, it grounded half its fleet. They couldn't fly those aircraft. Bang, company's gone, despite the massive growth in Indian aviation. Those pilots are all finding jobs, cabin crew all finding jobs because there's
at least
demand is there.
The demand is still there.
So right place, right time again. Can we shift to Africa?
About time.
ProFlight launches first Lusaka Cape Town service. So ProFlight Zambia launching its first service July 1st, making it the airline's fourth South African route. And obviously the direct route eliminates the need for travelers to transit through Joburg using a CRJ 200, I believe, 50-seater. And with connections available to partner airlines on other days. So a good option there. We know of a few guys that have gotten jobs there recently.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a nice operation. And it'd be nice if they get the support.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that. A pretty remarkable airline popping up out of Zambia. They seem to be doing really well. They've gotten off to a good start. Guys seem to be quite happy operating with them. And direct flights from Lusaka to Cape Town. It's quite nice to see that as well. I'm seeing this a lot though. There's this desire to want to avoid Joburg as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, it's probably because of the cost and the inefficiency of coming through Tambo, AXA, and
Joburg Airport still looks a mess, by the way.
Yeah,
it really does look. I know there's a revamp in the, but it really does look a mess.
Yeah, it's really sad. But I get that there's a lot of connectivity. I mean, we chatted to our mates from Eswatini the other day as well, and they're doing direct flights from Sekhukhune to Harare.
Mm-hmm.
And I still thought, shit, it's a bit of a weird direct routing to have. Anyway, it turns out it's got a lot to do with connectivity and, the time savings by not having to come through Joburg. So,
yeah,
interesting.
Good call. Your favorite airline, South African Airways, is granted authorization to expand its fleet.
Oh, okay.
And
what are we getting?
Let's have a look. South African Airways granted authorization. Airline says significant increase will enable it to relaunch international routes and provide extra regional and domestic capacity. All Airbus comprise, so its existing fleet, all Airbus comprises 5 A320s and a long-haul 330. We are excited to lay the groundwork for the relaunch of our first international route since coming out of business rescue, says Interim Chief John Lamola.
Okay.
It doesn't say much here.
No. I just never believe anything that
says all the aircraft will be delivered to the carrier before the end of the year. Indicates that the 4 A320s it is seeking will be flying by September. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So 4 A320s. I think they got enough crew for that.
I wonder. I actually heard that SAA were bleeding some pilots,
I've heard the same rumor as well.
Don't know how true it is. There's no link to that information. But, yeah.
It's definitely not what it used to be.
No. I don't even think that the people there would argue that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway. Next story to lighten your day. 100 million rand for airport renovation goes missing. And this is that story around the Mafeking, Pilanesberg debacle.
The golden triangle of the Northwest.
That you and I actually operated those routes for I don't know how many years. Joburg, Pilanesberg, Mafeking, back to Joburg. How many times did you fly those routes with 0 passengers?
Yeah.
0.
It was just beyond a joke. Look, a lot of fun for the pilots. I mean, it's nothing like getting called out in the afternoon to take the company jet for a spin.
Yeah.
From Joburg, pop over to Pilanesberg, then scoot over to do a quick touch and go at Mafeking and then back to Joburg.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst pairing in the world.
No.
It wasn't bad at all.
It was actually a lot of fun to fly, but I mean, just never made sense. And I mean,
it did make sense to a few people because the next story that pops up, the 400 million rand SA Express tender corruption trial is postponed until June. Now, that whole thing is all tied to this 100 million airport renovation and all sorts of other things. Because from what I'm reading here, this tender corruption trial was to do with the fact that certain people were getting paid for the ground services and all sorts of things whilst
which wasn't really offered anyway. There were no bloody services. It was a dog shelf note.
Exactly. But no doubt, a few people made a lot of money, which is becoming more and more common in South Africa these days, unfortunately. Yeah. On a more positive one, Lyft, they set to lease another 2 Airbus A320s from AirCap. Does that mean that Global don't have any to give them, I suppose?
Possibly, yeah. Obviously an indication that they are
things going well
enough and it's necessary for extra areas. So it's cool, man. It's nice to see. And definitely a bit more positive than our previous story there.
I think so. Yeah. But anyway, a lot of news this week, and it's coming thick and fast. A lot of it positive, a lot of it to do with growth in Africa in particular at the moment, a lot going on. But it just really is amazing to see that this whole recruitment drive and the opportunities that are there. It's just such a great time to be in aviation, and a lot of the focus this week on that. Time for an advisory, Paul.
Definitely.
All right. So you and I did a show, this same podcast. This is actually round 2. We did this on Tuesday morning. It's now Thursday afternoon. But we did it earlier in the week. We had a couple of ideas that we thought it might be a good idea to do it a bit earlier. And you and I did the whole show. It was over an hour long. And when we ended the transmission, we looked at each other and we both said, that was cuck.
Yeah.
There was something wrong with it. I don't know what it was. Just wasn't there. It just wasn't our day. And it got me thinking a bit, how often in life do you prepare really hard? You do all the groundwork. Because we let's get something straight. We actually took the week before to try and take the podcast to the next level. And we did prepare really hard. We prepared well in advance with the stories. We knew what we wanted to talk about. And we spoke about all those things. There was no issue.
Yeah.
It's just the product at the end was just something that we weren't happy with. And it just got me thinking, how often in life does that happen? You do everything right, but the result that comes out at the end is not the right one. What do you do about it? Do you just laugh it off and say, right, we're going to post the show anyway? Or do you...
Yeah, it's definitely just not who we are. It's not in our DNA. I mean, I think where it comes from is over the last couple of months, we've really, really started to enjoy the show more. The way we do it, the way we, process it every week, just recording the show and talking the way we do. It's been a lot of fun, and we've gotten used to a certain quality standard, and proud of what we're trying to put out every week, of our brand and our the way we conduct ourselves, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then that show on Tuesday just didn't have that same vibe. So it was like a no-brainer. We're not sending that out. Let's do it again, because we are really committed to doing this better and better every week and grow it.
So the advisory this week, a little quote from the net, didn't have anyone's name attached to it, but kind of speaks about what we're trying to say here. The hard truth about the outcome or product you create. Perfection is not achieved at first glance. Embrace the journey of progress and let your passion guide you towards the masterpiece you envision. And I think, looking back at that whole thing, I know exactly why that podcast we made on Tuesday was shit. It was because we were focused on the outcome at the end.
Yeah.
Instead of
enjoying
the podcast and the journey. And obviously using the podcast as a bit of analogy can be anything. It can be the sim training. It can be a particular flight. Flying was like that for me a lot. At one stage, I just wasn't enjoying the flying at all. Couldn't wait to get home. It was almost like if sign-off time was at 2:30 in the afternoon and I could finish before then, it was like I had won. I was...
Yeah.
And
And then you'd get that call from ops.
Yeah. Then it really stuffed up your day. But the reality is, they're just so focused on the end result.
Yeah.
Sim training as well. I mean, how often do you see guys that come for sim training and they just want to get the form signed and go home, not really enjoying the process of it? And I think looking back at that Tuesday show round, it was just because we had put in the effort. We did put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we wanted this good product at the end. We just wanted this box product to get out there. But we forgot about that fundamental thing. You got to enjoy the journey.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, to sum it up in one word was, I think we were allowing our ambition to override us a bit there, because there's this desire to start creating a better product every week, make it better, get it bigger, so that we could probably try and do more. In fact, that was kind of the thinking of why we wanted to record it early on in the week was, well, maybe it would free up some time later on in the week so that we could get a lot more done. And that'll still happen in the future. But we can't allow this over-ambitiousness to take over what we actually do for fun.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
And don't forget that the fact that we've been able to do this consistently is because we have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So if you can enjoy it and you can actually, it's going to help you to carry on. But that whole process is just so important. So I suppose the advisory, it's a very sort of non-technical one, is embrace the journey. Don't be focused on the outcome. But there was one extra little thing there that I think is so key, and it's very deep, Ryan. So just bear with me on this one.
Yeah, here we go.
What was key with it? Obviously, we do this podcast together, and the fact that both of us were on the same page made life a hell of a lot easier. For argument's sake, if you were keen just to, that's fine, let's just get it out there, I would have actually posted that podcast. I would have been under pressure to post the podcast. Now, I mean, you know what it's like. We have these relationships. You've got a relationship with your wife, with your kids, with your friends, with your work colleagues. It's the same thing. Those relationships are so critical that you have, because that's going to make the difference on whether or not you do just decide, it's fine, let's send it out. Or are you with someone that's honest enough to say, no, we can do better than that. Let's do it again. It's going to be hard, but let's do it again.
Yeah.
So I know it's a bit deep, but I think it's important.
I appreciate that. I mean, it's so true, pal. I mean, it's vitally important. And again, not just necessarily in the context of the podcast, but even in flying, bit of analogy there as well. But a good sim partner, in a lot of respects, can take you down the same path. So, sage advice and true words. Thanks, man.
Glad. All right, Paul. And the last thing I want to mention, we're pushing the Patreon side of things, guys. So if you want to support the show, you can do through Patreon. The show will always be free, but if you do want to support the show, that's where you need to support us on. There's a couple of options there if you want. Like I say, do not expect it. You certainly don't have to. But if you do want to support, that's where you can do that. And we plan on doing a bit more with that platform going forward. But not going to get anything amazing. You're not going to get anything sort of that's going to change your life. It's a poor investment in terms of money, I can assure you. But if you do want to support, that's how you can do it, through Patreon. The link will be there in the show notes. I'll leave the link in the notes and in the first comment. So if you want, that's where we are.
We truly appreciate the support to our existing Patriot supporters. I mean, I'd like to give them a mention. Fran Laidler, John Howell, Dino Jennings, Dale Williams, Duncan Gillespie, Imre Krutz, and John Kearney. Guys, thanks so much for the wonderful support and the pledge every month. It really does help us a lot, and it keeps us going.
Helps big time. Mother's Day on Sunday. All the mothers out there, have a lovely day. Hope you get spoiled. And good weekend to you too, Paul.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy. Enjoy Mother's Day. And make sure Nicole gets spoiled.
Yep.
I'll do the same for the ladies on my side. And have fun. And Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Hope you've seen the improvements. If you like what you see, let us know. If you don't, let us know. We might ignore you if you don't, but still, it's worth it. Cheers for now, guys.
Ciao.